Recording in
signed the labor
progress.
appeals on the contract award on the 7th of July. The contractor is established on site on the 13th of July, and various work is progressing well on site. The head of works canal base has been poured and props are put in place for the jacking. You can see that in the picture on the bottom of the screen. The chemical room stabilization is underway. Clear water reservoir has been cleared and cleaned, and motors, pumps, and valves have been removed for refurbishment and replacement where necessary. The completion of this project is scheduled for the end of September, with commissioning at the beginning of October. To move on to the wastewater works, this slide shows the effluent that is reaching wastewater treatment works, and you can see the dip following the April and then a second dip following the May floods. And since then, the amount of wastewater reaching the treatment works has remained low. This is because pipelines and water treatment works and wastewater treatment works and pump stations are not yet repaired. To give you an overview of the progress that eThekwini is making with those restorations, on the far left are sewage networks above 300 millimeters. These are very large pipelines. In the northern region, there has been progress with 34% of the damage being reinstated, central region 40%, west region 80%, and southern region 4%. The steel pipeline repairs have also progressed, and pump station repairs are progressing reasonably well. What is not progressing well is the reinstatement of wastewater works, where some 300 million rand is required for reinstatement of damages of wastewater works. To look at the beach water quality or the impact of the sewage not being adequately treated, you will see that the beach water quality has been impacted. These are slides from a few days ago. You will see there have been some improvements in areas where pump stations and pipelines have been reinstated, where beaches have been opened, but there are beaches closed or only open for religious and spiritual reasons, not for swimming, and then the large number of beaches are still closed because of the sewage contamination resulting from those breakages. The focus is to ensure that the lines, the big sewage pipelines taking sewage to treatment plants that are not impacted, such as southern and central works, are reinstated, and this will ensure that at least 80% of the sewage is then treated adequately at treatment plants. The department did evaluations of the storm damage in each of the Water Services Authority municipalities. A multidisciplinary team of engineers was sent to each of the sites and were supported by MISA engineers from COGTA. You will see from the evaluations done that we did evaluations to reinstate the infrastructure, as well as what would be required to build back better to ensure that the infrastructure was reinstated in a manner that ensured it was compliant and met the future needs. eThekwini's damage is in Ilembe and Ugu districts being the next most severely impacted, with 34 and 19 million rand required for reinstatement of the infrastructure. If I could just take you through to the end, then including the Mgeni water infrastructure that was damaged at some 850 million, there's a total estimated damage of 2.2 billion rand for reinstatement of the infrastructure and 7.7 billion rand for building back the infrastructure better. The department has supported the municipalities and Mgeni Water. There was 65 million rand reprioritized from the water and sanitation infrastructure grant funding with the approval of Treasury. There were 82 tankers that were procured to support the eThekwini, Ugu, and Ilembe district municipalities for a period of 3 months. It should be noted that we are not able to provide funds to eThekwini directly through our current grant frameworks. The Water Services Authority infrastructure damage costing was consolidated into a national disaster management application funding application, which went through provincial disaster, which was submitted by the department on the 3rd of May. The funding application also included the replacement, also included the Build Back Better, and was not just the replacement costs. As a result of the applications and in line with the grant funding framework requirement, the municipalities have reprioritized their municipal infrastructure grant and WSIG grant funding. King Cetshwayo have reprioritized 13.2 MIG funding and 6.7 WSIG funding. Zululand 25 million WSIG funding, and Chikela District 15 million MIG funding. Disaster funding was approved for Mzanduzi Municipality 690,000 and Ilembe District for 19.5. The disaster funding currently recommended by National Disaster and waiting for final approval from National Treasury is for eThekwini for 182 million. The eThekwini application is a part of a second round of funding, and this is because the infrastructure of eThekwini is covered by insurance. Their current estimate is about 1 billion rand, of which there is a possible valid payout for 292 million rand for infrastructure covered by insurance, with an uninsured variance of 733 million. eThekwini have over 600 sites that have been identified, and an assessor has been appointed by their insurers, but electricity site verification is underway at the moment, and no verification for water and sanitation has started yet. It is estimated that it may take 12 to 18 months for the assessments to be complete. In the interim, eThekwini has reprioritized its own internal budgets to respond to the most critical infrastructure, and is making reasonable progress with, has made progress with water, and is making reasonable progress with some of the pipelines and pump stations on the sanitation infrastructure, but the wastewater treatment works have not started. Just to look at the funding requirements for eThekwini and the two disaster management applications that have been made. The first one I referred to, that's just waiting for approval, and a second disaster funding application has been made for 1.4 billion rand that is waiting for feedback from the National Disaster Management Committee. In conclusion, most of the water services in the area have been restored, albeit some with temporary installations that will need to be made permanent. The sanitation services restoration is behind, although there has been some progress and improvements in beach water quality have been noted, although we have in the last day had some fish kills in one of the rivers as a result of some contamination. There are significant delays with insurance claims, with assessments that could take between 12 and 18 months, and it is recommended that alternative processes need to be put in place for the assets that are covered by insurance. Municipalities are not encouraged to insure assets if it's going to impact on their ability to access disaster management funding. And here it is recommended that something like bridge funding could be considered. And if an insurance claim is successful, then the municipality could pay that funding back to the Treasury. The department will continue to support working with Provincial COGTA in operationalizing war rooms for each water services authority, where issues of water and sanitation supply can be dealt with timeously, and taking these issues beyond just the impact of the flood. And we will continue with ongoing monitoring of the restoration through these war rooms. Thank you for your attention, Chair. That is my presentation.
Thank you very much. Okay, I wanted to say that if there is anything you want to add, yes. DM and DG, can you add before we engage?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Thank you very much, Angela. I just wanted to elaborate a little bit to clarify a couple of things said by Angela. Firstly, just to explain the war room mentioned by Angela. Immediately on the Easter weekend, when the extent of the floods was realized, our minister facilitated a process with the relevant municipalities to set up, and Umgeni Water, to set up a water and sanitation war room. And that's the war room that Angela is talking about. It's a coordinating body. It coordinates the efforts of the different municipalities and Umgeni Water and ourselves to make sure that there isn't any duplication and that things are synchronized. It also reviews progress, but it's chaired by the head of water and sanitation in eThekwini. It's not chaired by us, and it's really a coordination body. It's not a situation where we are managing the response through the war room as DWS. It's more of a coordination body, and it's only focused on water and sanitation. So there are separate intergovernmental structures dealing with issues like housing and the human settlements issues, and those are being coordinated by the National Departments of Human Settlements and COGTA, together with the municipalities. So the role that we're playing with regard to the floods in KZN is quite different to the role that we're playing in other places where we're doing formal interventions, either on our own or together with COGTA, such as, for example, in Nelson Mandela Bay, where we have a formal intervention and we're jointly managing with Nelson Mandela Bay the response to the drought there. Basically, eThekwini is in control of managing its response to the floods, and we're playing a supportive role. Just also to clarify that with regard to the issue of money from DWS, possible funding from DWS to eThekwini, as honourable members could see in the presentation, by far the largest damage is in the city of eThekwini, and government's financing system for water and sanitation is structured such that the grants that DWS manages for water and sanitation aren't allowed to be used for metropolitan municipalities. As Angela indicated, we had to get special permission from Treasury just to reprioritize a relatively small amount of the grant just to provide emergency assistance in the form of tankers with drivers to supplement the municipal tankers as an emergency measure. But infrastructure in metropolitan municipalities related to water and sanitation is funded through the Department of Human Settlements, through the Urban Settlements Development Grant. And I believe eThekwini has taken some measures to reprioritize elements of its Urban Settlements Development Grant to address the flood damage. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I think the presenter and the DG has said a mouthful. We will await engagement with the members of the Portfolio Committee. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thanks, DM and DG. Members, there we are. I'm awaiting hands to be raised for those that want to engage the report. And I think I'm sure the report do give us a status quo report on what is happening on the floods. I'm sure there are concerns generally in the country about the non-responsiveness of ourselves or the non-effectiveness of ourselves on the to respond to the disaster. Yesterday, there was a report from Maverick that there is a woman who died emanating from the crisis of the floods. But if you look at, if you read the story, it is just inferred that that might be the case. It's just that she died whilst there is problems of flooding in the area. There is no scientific relationship that indeed it is because of the non-response by any department of parliament. But of course, the reality is that people are still living in halls. People are still, they have no water. People still have got no roads. People still have got no houses. And I think that the difficulty that we, as the DG reports, that we are not necessarily have taken over or intervened like the Eastern Cape, the Northwest province, where we have intervened using the relevant clause. It's a problem in KZN, because indeed if KZN does not respond, society does not separate between province, local government, and national government. They want to see government working, and that we did not intervene might be a political venture on our side, but there's people who are struggling, expect of us to intervene. I know that the provincial government is not a branch of national government. They are a sphere of its own, but people does not read us like that. I'm wanting to allow hands to come up in order for us to can engage. What has happened to my? Is anyone whose hand is up? I think my gadget has done something that will recover just now.
It's me, Chair. Let us.
Ntateteki, allowed.
Just one question.
Okay, let me just say there is Ntateteki Sorakanyan and Ntateteki Metseke Memutlala.
Yes.
Okay. I'm a little comment Ntateteki with the Metseke. If I say one hour,
Kimangwa braro kinna. Okay, sure.
Good morning, Chair. Look,
Yes.
there's a slide that talks about from 40 to 70, from a certain percentage to another percentage. Just as an interesting question, Chair, to say, as we say it's moving from that percentage to 70 or 80, 90. Could we tell before the floods, what was the percentage? That's the only question I've got interest on, Chair. Because to move from, let's say before the floods, it was, the supply there was 90, and then we are at 80. It shows a very good progress. Before the floods, the supply was 75. We are now at 80. That means we have surpassed the previous supply. Just, it's a question of interest, Chair. Thank you.
Metseke.
Thank you very much, Chair. Let me appreciate the good morning, colleagues, the DM and DG and all the officials present. And let me also appreciate the presentation. But I must say that I think at some point, Parliament has established an ad hoc committee represented by majority of the portfolio committee in Parliament. So I think at some point, there will be because they're interacting, they are on site at some point. I think at some point they will be able to give a feedback or after taking that resolutions or that report. Definitely there will be issues that will be undertaken by each and every portfolio committee. So I think as we move forward, I think we must get that process of working together with that committee, a multi-party committee that is established by Parliament. And secondly, Chair, I just want to check because the presentation says for 3 months, the government or department has utilized or the affected municipality have spent 65 million on water tankers. I'm checking whether for 3 months, I'm checking whether will we be able to sustain this program going forward. Because 65M, 3 months, Chair, I think it's a lot of money. And secondly, on the Umgeni, the presentation says they're utilizing their own internal funds. And on the other side, they're still waiting for the insurer to process to whatever money that is due to them. I'm checking going forward if they're still waiting the insurance to pay that money, what's going to happen with regard to this entire restoration program. And there's a slide that speaks to the sanitation program, which is moving at a slow pace. I would like Angela or the DG to speak on that. What are the challenges? Why are we still moving at this slow pace? Yeah, I think the department can elaborate on that. Thanks, Chair.
Nematala,
Thanks so much, Chairperson. Mine are just few questions. You know, I'm using a very small gadget, and I thought I'll be able to log on my laptop, but I can see time is running. There's nothing that I can do. I had to work on my phone. So, Chairperson, the question is, oh, I think I'm fine now. Chairperson? Yes, thank you so much. I'm saying I was trying to log on my computer, but I've managed. Thanks so much. I've got a few questions. The first one is, Chairperson, the neglect of maintenance and refurbishment of water infrastructure, as well as government failure to plan or prepare for disasters, is evident in the impact and outcome of the flood disasters in the KwaZulu-Natal and in in the Eastern Cape. Water Services Authority charged with spend of regional bulk and water services infrastructure grant need to begin reprioritizing their funding mechanism as well as their annual performance plans. So my question is, what assistance is the Department of Water and Sanitation provided to Water Services Authority to ensure reprioritization, and how effective has this been? Chairperson, the next question is, why was no action taken with regard to the massive non-revenue or non-payment of water in eThekwini when deputy ministers in the department had known about this problem for at least 5 years? Chairperson, the third question is, who is monitoring the source and quality of water delivered by water tankers? The levels of E. coli in water sources is quite high, but it appears as if communities are receiving mixed communication with regard to the use of water from taps. Who is charged with ensuring public awareness of quality of water? Chair, the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs is assisting municipalities with reprioritizing budget. What is the role of the department in assisting Water Services Authority in reprioritizing water services and regional bulk infrastructure grant? Who is monitoring this? And what are some of the challenges noted by the department? Chair, the other question is, spending of disaster grants were not recorded properly with respect to the prescripts of classification. This was reflected in respect of the 228 million of municipal disaster response grant and the 723,000 relating to vote for the one of water and sanitation. Once again, who in the department is monitoring the amounts dispersed to the municipal disaster funding related to vote for the one of water and sanitation? Chairperson, lastly, rebuilding infrastructure to take into consideration the impact of disaster on water and sanitation infrastructure is a new priority. How will the future of infrastructure development ensure sustainability of water and sanitation infrastructure? What lesson can one take away from other countries that have been impacted by major catastrophes or disaster. Lastly, Chairperson, how many engineers are currently available in KZN to assist with reconstruction efforts? Would this be enough? Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mamtala. Just in addition,
Honorable Mashiro, I'm done. Chairperson?
Yeah, I can hear you. Thank you very much.
You're gone.
But I'm listening. Why is the mic on?
Now we can hear you, both of you.
Can you take over and run this thing? Because it's not here.
No, I am here. You are just not hearing me. DM and the DG, I think the questions are there. Maybe just one or two additions.
Chairperson?
Mutala, just hold on.
Chairperson, I'm asking, did you hear me? Did you hear my question?
Yes, we heard you. Very well.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Then you said there was a time when we were at 600 milliliters a day, and we went down to 250 milliliters a day. What effect how did it affect communities, and what is the response of communities on this reduced affluent of water to communities from 600 milliliters to 250 milliliters a day? You are not also telling us as to what was the fight about in Ward 8 and Ward 9, and what effect did it have and to your turnaround time as that has happened? Can we now be rest assured that that particular battle between these two wards has now subsided to a level where it is acceptable? And I think I would have wanted also to just emphasize the point that even though without going to 5 years that Mamtala is talking about, what the plan that we have, is it interventional? Even if we are not necessarily have taken over to KZN, can we help KZN where it is failing, given even the fact that of course we are not necessarily at the section 63 that we are within in the other provinces. DM.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Let me indicate to yourself that the Director General and the team will respond to the questions, and then I'll come back later on.
Okay. DG?
Thank you very much, Chairperson and DM. Angela, perhaps you could go first. I suggest that you start with answering Honourable Tseki's question. There was a particular slide. Perhaps, Angela, you could put the presentation on and go to that slide that he was asking about.
DG, the host has disabled the screen sharing. I could proceed with answering while that is enabled again. I do not have the actual figures. That question related to the supply levels immediately after the flood and how we have progressed in reinstating supplies. The question said, did we know what the supply levels were before the flood? I don't have those exact figures, but they were definitely not 100% in all of the areas. There were areas that were suffering still with due to the refurbishment of that reservoir that I referred to at the water treatment works, as well as some pump station issues. So we could source that information and report back on that issue.
Okay.
If I can proceed with the other question, in terms of the community disputes between wards 9 and 10, it was regarding the allocation of work packages and labor related to the aqueduct contracts, and that has been resolved. The impact of the shortage of treated water reducing from 600 megaliters a day to 250 megaliters a day, was severe, with large portions of the city not having water supply. This, however, only lasted a few days while the shaft pumps and the alternative supplies of raw water were brought into the water treatment works. But those alternative supplies did not reach the full 600 megalitres that was before the floods. So initially there was a deficit of some 70 megalitres, and then additional pumps were commissioned, and now the deficit has been reduced to only about 20 megalitres. So it impacted on large portions of the city, mostly in the north of Durban, where supplies were interrupted. And this was the need to bring in water tankers to support the municipal fleets and ensure people did get water.
Okay, thanks, Angela. Angela, perhaps I could also just add to that and then answer a few of the other questions, and then you could come in again at the end if I've left out any. The slide that I think you're referring to, honourable members, there are two providers of water in the area. The first is Umgeni Water, which is one of our entities. It's one of the water boards. Umgeni Water supplies bulk water to eThekwini and other municipalities in the area. So the slides that Angela showed, where she showed pictures of the damage, maybe Angela, you can go to those. Those were the damaged aqueducts belonging to Umgeni Water. And we are in control of that as DWS, because Umgeni Water is one of our entities. So that was an area that we had control over, and we worked with Umgeni very quickly to ensure that they put in temporary restoration measures, such as the pumps, etc., that Angela is talking about, to enable the bulk water to be restored as quickly as possible. It can't be fully restored to its original state until the permanent repairs are completed. And as Angela indicated in her presentation, work is currently underway to do the permanent repairs to these aqueducts which supply the bulk water. And as you can see from the pictures, it's major construction work to replace these damaged aqueducts. Angela, if you can go back to that slide which shows the graph, so of what happened with the bulk water supply. So you can see that immediately after the floods in April, there was a huge drop, and that's the drop that Angela is talking about, from 600 megalitres a day to 250 megalitres a day of bulk water supply to eThekwini. Then the effect of that was that water supply was hugely reduced, and many communities in eThekwini were without water altogether. And that explains why we were getting, as at the beginning of that Easter weekend, on about the Thursday of the Easter weekend, we were getting urgent requests from the municipalities, particularly eThekwini, to urgently assist them with additional water tankers, because the only way that additional water could be provided in that period when there was such a big disruption in the bulk water supply, the only way that additional water could be provided to communities without any water quickly was through tankering. And that's why we responded by assisting them with additional tankers. Then you can see where the graph then goes up again in May, going through right through to June, is where the temporary measures that we put in place with Umgeni Water started to have effect, and the water supply has been largely brought back. The bulk water supply repairs are completed, and I think Angela did give an estimate of the date by which those permanent repairs would be completed. Going back to the issue of the 65 million, Honourable Seki, we didn't say all the municipalities. If you could go to that slide as well, Angela, we didn't say all the municipalities spent 65 million. We said that we reallocated 65 million with Treasury approval from our budget to hire more than 80 additional tankers to provide to eThekwini and the other municipalities. eThekwini has its own, over and above that, eThekwini has its own water tankers, and they hired additional ones as well. And Kokta also hired some additional water tankers for eThekwini. the extent of the damage, not only to our bulk water infrastructure, but to eThekwini's distribution and reticular infrastructure, was so extensive that they needed this large number of additional water tankers in order to get water to the communities with no water on an emergency basis. So the 65 million is only for the additional ones that we hired. Now, we're not going to do that in perpetuity. We're going to be gradually withdrawing the water tankers as the water supply is restored. So we're going to, eThekwini has indicated to us that they still need the tankers in some areas. So we're going to retain some of the tankers for a few more months, but after that, we will no longer be providing tankers once the water supply reaches the level where eThekwini can manage with its own fleet of water tankers without our support. There was a question about Umgeni using its internal funds, but is still waiting for insurance. Yes, Umgeni, as an entity under us, has been able to make that decision. Because eThekwini has a healthy balance sheet and its financial situation is quite healthy, eThekwini has taken the decision that they're not going to wait for the insurance company to pay it out for the damage to those aqueducts that we showed in the pictures just now. That is proceeding with the repair work, and that it will then get the money from when the insurance pays out, it will get that money and replace the money that it's used on its balance sheet, on its budget. So that is fine. The challenge is more with eThekwini. eThekwini hasn't been able to do that to the extent that Umgeni Water has. So you'll see from Angela's presentation that to some extent, the fact that eThekwini had its water and sanitation infrastructure insured has resulted in a delay in the reconstruction process, because they've been less able to reorientate and use their existing budgets to do the repair work than Umgeni Water was able to do so. And they've been constrained to some extent by the fact that the insurance claims take so long to pay out. And it appears to us as well that the disaster funding from National has also been delayed to some extent because of this issue of waiting for clarity on what will be paid for from insurance as opposed to what will not be paid for from insurance. And perhaps this is an issue that government as a whole needs to look at in future, that where municipalities have insurance for infrastructure, that disaster funding from the national government could maybe be used as bridging finance. I think Angela did mention this in the presentation. It's something to consider in future, that there could be bridging finance provided to municipalities so that they're able to start with the work even while the insurance claims are still being processed. Turning to Honourable Muklala's questions, yes, and comments. Yes, there has been a neglect of refurbishment and maintenance with municipal infrastructure in many municipalities across the country, and it's something that we are constantly engaging with municipalities about to encourage them to pay sufficient attention to maintenance and proper operation of water and sanitation infrastructure. We have provided, you'll see, Angela, perhaps you can bring up the slides again where you showed in the smaller municipalities how we assisted those smaller municipalities to reprioritize the grants that we provide to the non-metropolitan municipalities. So you'll see on these slides, together with COGTA, we assisted King Cetshwayo to reprioritize part of its municipal infrastructure grant, which is funded through COGTA. And we worked with King Cetshwayo and Zululand and Utugela to assist them to reprioritize part of their WISIG grant, which is the grant which is provided to us by us to non-metropolitan municipalities. So we provided them with a lot of assistance in that regard. We provided assistance in terms of quantifying the damage, estimating what it would cost, and then helping them to apply to us for permission to reprioritize, and then approving the reprioritization so that they could then proceed with the repair work. And we are on an ongoing basis, we are monitoring, as we always do, we are monitoring the expenditure of those reprioritized WISIG funds. It's one of the key roles of our regional officers. In terms of the numbers of engineers, Angela might be able to assist. I can't give you the numbers of engineers off the top of my head, but what I can say is that we sent several engineers from head office to go and stay in eThekwini for a couple of months to supplement our regional office to support the municipalities to respond to the floods. So as a result of that, we were able to provide a lot of support to the municipalities to quantify the damage and to assess the cost of replacing the infrastructure. And that's how we were able to assist them to apply for disaster funding as early as the 3rd of May, which was quite an achievement in my view, given the extent of the damage, to within less than a month to have been able to provide very detailed quantified estimates or quantifications of the damage and how much money would be required to repair it. Angela, would you like to add any more on any of the questions?
No, DG, I think you've covered it. Thank you.
Perhaps the one more question is, how can we help KZN even if we're not intervening? We are having regular meetings we are participating strongly in the war room chaired by eThekwini, the Water and Sanitation War Room. As I indicated, we've sent engineers to assist with the smaller municipalities. We've enabled them to reprioritize their budgets. Those war room meetings have been happening regularly, and our engineers have been at the disposal of eThekwini to assist with advice, quantification and assessments. We have also been assisting in terms of providing advice in areas such as, for example, the need to communicate to the citizens about what is happening and when water supply is likely to come back on stream. Thank you, Chairperson.
Sorry, DG, if I could just, there was one question about monitoring of water quality in the tankers. There is a monitoring in place, and the eThekwini municipality are reporting results of that monitoring, and we're following up with any queries that are obtained or complaints. There were some issues identified earlier on after the flood, where one of the filling points was not providing water of an adequate quality, and that filling point was then closed. So this is being monitored and reported through the war room on a regular basis.
Chair? Mashego?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
Yes, madam.
all right.
I am here.
Oh, I thought you were not there. Sure.
No, I am. The assumption I'm making is that we will have the responses are there. Any other additional follow-up questions? Namutala? Yo, what's going on now? Am I speaking alone?
No, we can hear you, Mashego. I don't know,
Okay.
Mshala, but I can hear you.
Okay. In the absence of hands, that I might assume that we are satisfied with the answer given. We are not having a participatory meeting now.
Yeah, yes, we are satisfied. Besides the question that was asked by Mushala on the number of engineers who are on site, I think that was the only, I think I've missed that.
Chairperson,
Do we have any specific number? Yes.
Yeah. Yes, Angela, would you like to respond to that? How many engineers we brought in from head office coupled with your engineers who've been assisting the municipalities?
Yes, DG. Immediately on the Easter weekend, there was an assessment done of how many engineers were available to assist. eThekwini reported over 200 technical and engineering staff. Our department sent a multidisciplinary team of about 20 engineers to come and assist the region. And we currently have an engineer that's based full-time on the Tongaat Treatment Works restoration project. We also supported by MISA through the Department of Cooperative Governance, who also had engineers deployed doing assessments, but not limited to water infrastructure. They were also looking at all other infrastructure.
Thanks, Angela.
Okay. Did you what is the plan? What is the overall plan? Are you intending at some point to be hands-on a bit on the work that you are supposed to do, or is it still not allowed?
Well, we are monitoring the situation closely and keeping track of the progress of eThekwini. eThekwini are making progress, but I think in restoring water supply, but as indicated in the presentation, we think that the progress is slow, particularly with regard to addressing the damage to wastewater infrastructure. And one of the major problems, Chairperson, is this issue of the insurance, and that eThekwini is financially constrained to reprioritize its budgets, and there isn't a mechanism for providing bridging finance from the National Disaster Fund until the insurance is sorted out. So we've been raising this issue at national level with COGTA and National Treasury. But that's where the situation stands at the moment. There has been an issue as well that despite the fact that eThekwini is financially constrained, I believe that last financial year there was some under expenditure on its budgets, which does put the city in a difficult position to argue that it's short of money to address the issues when it underspent on some of its budget last financial year.
Okay. No, and I think, Ma'am Teke, you did raise the point that there is an ad hoc committee which is constituted by Parliament. I am one of the members. We are presently in eThekwini. There is the report they have given to us is a little bit cumbersome, but there is a report they are giving. Indeed, as and when we are going to give the report, we are to give a half-yearly report after this visit. I mean, remember our mandate ends in October, but we are going to give you a report as members of Parliament on things that we have seen, and we will have, of course, some recommendation to make. But I hear you, DG, and I think you are confirming some of the things that are given in the report by KZN, most especially eThekwini, because the Premier and his team have got a meeting today. They did not come, but eThekwini is in the meeting. No, that's fine. Unless there is any person, I assume that we have come to the end of the meeting. Let me see if there's a hand. Do I assume that we can close the meeting now?
Chairperson,
Well,
there
no
are minutes, Mashego, that must be adopted. And
okay. Okay, no, that I hear you. I was saying the issue of the closing on the presentation.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, the DG and the Deputy Minister and the department. We will talk to yourselves as and when time goes on.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Yeah. bring back the agenda. Okay, here it is. What is it?
Chairperson,
Yes.
the next item is the adoption of the committee program for third term.
Where is that? Where is that agenda item? I don't see that here.
It is there, Chairperson.
The MB so here. It's too ugly. Okay. Let's talk to it. Ish. And how's going to please wait, gadget, yeah. Things are not going well. Okay.
Honorable Mashiko,
Yes. Is this the one you have? Yeah.
On the screen, it's a program. It's a proposed program.
Oh, this is the proposed program. The Tuesday today. The 30th of August, briefing by the department. The 6th of September, the 13th of September, and the 20th of September. There's a proposed program. Let's hear, members. The first one is done. Is today. So there is a proposed meeting on the 30th of August with the portfolio committee, and also on the 6th of September, the 13th of September, and the 20th of September.
Yeah, Honorable Mashiko.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can I move that we accept this program, but we take it as a working program, and if needs be, I think it can be changed at any time. I'm raising this because I'm not quite sure whether the department is ready in terms of the three legislations that we have mentioned in the report: your National Water Act, your Water Services Act, and your Water Research Act. I know the last time they said the bill, it's still with the state law advisor. Yeah, but I'm not quite sure whether it's ready to be tabled in Parliament. So yeah, hence I'm saying let's then adopt it as a working document.
Honorable Leon, yeah, okay. Honorable Leon, are you able to talk to us? I have seen your message on the portal that you are struggling at Lichtenberg, but can you be part of the meeting? Okay.
Chair,
because
he's
I
not
did
connected.
note.
No, he's not connected, Honorable Leon.
He was connected and he wrote that he's struggling at Lichtenberg with the. I was just confirming that.
Okay.
Memikala is still in the meeting because the program is moved and seconded that we adopt it as a working document. And I realized that Mam Sukhai is also has sent an apology. Remember, we have lost Mam Koni, and I think we have not wished her well as a committee. You must wish her well and congratulate her for her being appointed our representative in Lesotho. I have seen her being accepted by the King of Lesotho. And I think we must be thankful of one of our own whom we will work with at some point. In the absence of any other hand, I want to assume that the program is adopted in principle.
Yes, Chair.
Okay. And then what is the second item?
It's the minutes, Chairperson. We've got 3 sets of minutes to adopt. It's the 24th of May.
I could not get access to them myself. I don't know what has happened, but here they are. Let's present them. I assume that we have received the minutes and we have gone through them. Members?
Yes,
I
Chair,
don't
we
believe
have
you
gone
want me
through
to.
them. Yes, we have gone
Okay.
through them. Yeah, can we request Nosipo to scroll down? I think there's something that is missing on this set of minutes. Just a bit slower, yes. Go down. Oh, just wait. Go up a bit before you adopt. Go up. Oh, wait. Yeah, this last paragraph, the department told the committee that it is currently busy with the amendment of the National Water Act and the Water Services Act. It's National Water Act. Can you add?
Okay, I will amend that mistake.
Okay.
But this topic, the committee raised the issue of transformation of water.
Water Act, National Water Act, Water Services Act, and Water Research Act.
Okay, insert those because it is not there now.
Yes, Chairperson, I will. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, with that amendment, Chair, I move that we accept the minutes as a true reflection of what transpired in our meeting.
Any seconder?
I second, Chair.
Thank you very much. This is the minutes of the 24th May that has been adopted. Put the other one.
31 May 2022.
There we are. The 31st May, we were all present in the meeting, I think. Let's go up, down. I said I did struggle to open my minutes. I don't know what was happening, so my apologies for not being too much on time. There are the minutes before yourselves. We are not going to present them as we did with the first one. The meeting was adjourned at 11:15.
Chair?
Yeah.
I move that we accept these minutes.
There we are. Any other person want to say something? The minutes are moved.
Support, Chair.
Who is that?
Mr. Maybeck.
I support, Chair, from Mr. Maybeck.
Yes, Mr. Maybeck. Mr. Maybeck. Okay, thanks very much. The last set of minutes.
It's the 7th June.
Is it the last?
Yes, it's the last, Chairperson, 7th June.
Okay. There we are. The meeting of the 7th. Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible, Chair.
Okay. Acting Chair, is this the proper reading of the minutes?
Yes, Chair.
Okay. The minutes are moved.
I thought other members will adopt because I was chairing this meeting.
What you were sharing,
Yeah.
that's what I was. Yeah. Where are you
Adopted,
colleagues?
adopted, Chair.
You are moving for adoption. Any other seconder?
I second, Chair. I second.
Thank you very much, Mr. Webek. We have done with the minutes. What is the second, the other item?
The last item, Chairperson, is your closing remarks.
Okay. Is the department still in the meeting?
No, Chair.
The mistake I've made is not just to say this when they were still here. We had a petition from the community of Nandoni, and this petition has now been sent to the speaker. The speaker has instructed us to respond to the petition. I did send the petition to the department, and I thought that the department might be ready to prepare us. And I think we must talk to them, Nosipo, that they must prepare us. Now, the petition was sent to us, Human Settlement, and Coxta. So we are arranging a joint meeting between ourselves and Human Settlement and the community of Nandoni. So we need to be ready to go and listen to that committee. It is a very long petition, because in the process they are quoting the then chairpersons of the committee before me, or even before Metse Smeya, who was the chairperson then. And I think the department acknowledged that there was such meetings at some point. So we are preparing to go meet them. I have recommended that instead of flying them or driving them to Cape Town, we better have a central meeting where they might be driven to in Gauteng, and that we meet in Gauteng with both Human Settlement and ourselves. I don't know whether Human Settlement has already agreed to it, but and I think they should, because it is very expensive to drive or fly people to Cape Town. It's a community of more than 15 or 20 people, rather than driving them by road to Johannesburg, and we meet them in Johannesburg and they can drive back. So please note that at some point that shall be made. And we are avoiding that the weekend of the 9th to the 16th of September, because there's an activity that might take. But then we will be meeting immediately then after. Most people communicate the times, the venues, and the day which are going to meet those communities of Nandoni. And as I'm saying, it's a pity I'm pronouncing it when the department is gone, but we will communicate with the department in the process moving forward. It is important that we prepare ourselves to meet with them. Yeah, that we meet with the communities of Nandoni, Memushala. We have been complaining about the non-responses of the department in that area. I think we need to meet them.
Yes, Chair. Can I make some small input?
Mhm.
Yes, I think in the meantime, you can request NOSIPO to circulate what is that? The petition to all the members, so that when we meet with them, they could have an idea of what are the issues.
I will do so, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much.
It's not Miss, it's Mrs. Because
I will do so, Mrs. Tsege, sorry.
Because Tsege might believe that there is still room.
I'm sorry.
There is. No, super relax, there is.
There
All
is. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, I thought there is not. Okay. Thank you very much, and we have come to the end of the meeting.
Order, Chair.
On a lighter note, it's a key.
There is a commitment that you can try your luck, Tseki.
That was on a lighter note, Chair.
Thank you very much. And the
Thank
meeting
you.
is so adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll attend other meetings now.